Daf Yomi Tractate Shevuos, page 18. A, top of the page with the words V'i be'am ha'aretz Idi v'idi achal shnei ziti chalav v'helem echad hu. And if we say that we are dealing with an am ha'aretz, which is an ignoramus, who does not know that it is prohibited for him to engage in intercourse with a woman near the expected onset of her menstruation, and who also does not know that it is prohibited for him to immediately withdraw from her if she experiences menstrual bleeding during intercourse, then for both this and that, his entry and his withdrawal should be liable to bring only a single sin offering, since he had no awareness of his transgression between his two actions. This is like one who ate 2 olive bulbs of forbidden fat in the course of one lapse of awareness, and is therefore liable to bring only one sin offering. Here too, although he performed 2 actions for which one could be liable to bring sin offerings, entry and withdrawal, there was only one lapse of awareness. Ve'ela b'she'ein samach levista uveman ilev betalin chacham v'lo echad el b'chayev ha'kanisa anus aprisho mezit iba ma'oretz chadot b'chayev aprisho. Rather, it must be a case where it was not near her expected date of menstruation, and there was no reason for the man to think that the woman would experience menstrual bleeding. And with whom are we dealing? If we say we are dealing with a Torah scholar, then he should not be liable to bring even one sin offering, because with regard to his initial entry, he was a victim of circumstances beyond his control. And with regard to his withdrawal, after he knew that she was a menstruating woman, his transgression was intentional, and he would be liable to receive karet. And if we are dealing with an am ha'aretz, he should be liable to bring only one sin offering for his immediate withdrawal. Hadar amarabe l'oilan b'samach levista. Rava reconsidered and then said, actually, it is a case where it was near the expected date of the woman's menstruation, and we are dealing with a Torah scholar, but he is a Torah scholar only with regard to this halacha, that it is prohibited to engage in intercourse with a woman near the expected onset of her menstruation. And he erred in thinking that he could complete the act of intercourse before she experienced menstrual bleeding. Therefore, once he learns that she has experienced menstrual bleeding, he is liable to bring a sin offering for his unwitting transgression at the time of his entry. But he is not a Torah scholar with regard to that halacha, that it is prohibited for one to immediately withdraw from a woman if she experiences menstrual bleeding during intercourse, since he had awareness of his transgression between his 2 actions. This is not an instance of one lapse of awareness, and therefore he is liable to bring a second sin offering for his unwitting transgression at the time of his withdrawal. Amarava b'tarvayu tananihi Kanisa tenina, prisha tenina diktani. Yehoshua shim toira. Ve'amroloi nitmeisi, upiresh miyan chayi. Rava said, and we learn both of these matters for which he is liable to bring a sin offering. We learn about entry and we learn about withdrawal. Rather, Rava now clarifies the matter. We learn about withdrawal, as the Mishnah teaches, if a man was engaging in intercourse with a ritually pure woman, and during the course of their act of intercourse she experienced menstrual bleeding, and said to him, I have become impure, and unwittingly he immediately withdrew from her, he is liable to bring a sin offering for engaging in intercourse with a menstruating woman. Kanisa tenina nimsa al shelo tbein bechayav b'kolban mai lav b'samach levista b'aknisa. Rava continues, we learned about entry into Mishnah Nida 14a. If a spot of blood is found on his rag, meaning the rag that he uses to wipe his wiener after intercourse, he does? Al shelo. He uses a, yeah, I guess so. Then it is clear that this blood came from the woman during their act of intercourse. Consequently, both the man and the woman are impure and are liable to bring sin offering for their unwitting transgression. Rava explains, what? Is it not the case that the Mishnah speaks here of one who engaged in intercourse with the woman near to the expected date of her menstruation? And it teaches that he is liable to bring a sin offering for his initial entry at that time. Amar levar masna leovi leoilam ei malach bishloi samuch levista. Yapirisha v'chitem apirisha lamali hatinale hayitzrich lashminan nimtza al shelo tmeim v'savik b'turim v'nekorban v'ayit dvoy mas nisa nimtza al shelo tanana mi nimtza shelo. Rav Ada bar Masna said to Rava, actually, I could say to you that the Mishnah speaks here of one who engaged in intercourse with a woman not near the expected date of her menstruation, and he is liable to bring a sin offering for his immediate withdrawal upon learning that she had experienced menstrual bleeding. And if you would say, why do I need to be taught once again about withdrawal? Didn't the Tana already teach this in the Mishnah here? One can respond, it was necessary to teach this. Meaning the continuation of the Mishnah in Tractate Nida, which states, if a spot of blood is found on her rag, meaning a rag that she uses to wipe herself after intercourse, ew, I guess it's, fact of life. They are impure only because of uncertainty, and perhaps the bleeding commenced only after they completed their act of intercourse, and therefore they are exempt from bringing a sin offering. And since the Mishnah had to teach the case where the blood was found on her rag, it also taught the case where it was found on his rag, even though there is no novel element in this ruling. Amar le Rabbeinu Ravada mi matzis lo kama lahi b'shelo samuch levista ve'prisha ve'animtza kitani ve'nimtza libatar hachim ashma ve'aprisha mikara barishle mikara havaya le'yediyam. Ravina said to Ravada, can you really interpret that Mishnah as referring to a case where it was not near the expected date of the woman's menstruation, and that he is liable to bring a sin offering for his withdrawal? But isn't it taught in that Mishnah, if blood is found on his rag? And these words indicate that the blood was found only afterward, after the man had already withdrawn from the woman. That is to say, only after he withdrew from the woman, he learned that she had experienced menstrual bleeding. Ravina clarifies the difficulty, and if the Mishnah is referring to a case where he is liable for his withdrawal at the outset when he withdrew from the woman, it was from then that he had knowledge of her menstrual status, as he withdrew because she had informed him that she had experienced bleeding. Of what significance is his final blood on the rag? V'imisa mitzvahs. Lo tasei. Rava said to Ravada, listen to what your teacher Ravina is saying, as he has explained the matter. Ravada said to Rava, how can I listen to his words and accept his explanation, as it is taught? In a Braita with regard to this Mishnah concerning the blood flow on a rag, this is the positive mitzvah with regard to a menstruating woman for which one is liable. Ravada explains, and if it is so that the Mishnah is referring to a case where the man is liable for his initial entry, this wording is difficult, as engaging in intercourse with a menstruating woman is not the violation of a positive mitzvah, it is but a prohibition. It's a negative mitzvah. Don't do it, not avoiding the positive. Amar le itanita chisero tunichachi zohi mitzvah lo taseh shebini chayav aleha hayam mishamesh im Torah v'amarat nitmeti upirash miyad chayav zohi mitzvah saseh shebenida kule. The Rava said to him, if you learned this Braita in this manner, its wording is imprecise and there's missing words, and you should teach it like this. When blood is found on the man's rag, this is the prohibition with regard to a menstruating woman for which one is liable. And additionally, if a man was engaging in intercourse with a ritually pure woman, and during the course of their active intercourse she experienced menstrual bleeding, and said to him, I have become impure, and unwittingly he immediately withdrew from her, he is liable to bring a sin offering for that act, and this is the positive mitzvah for which one is liable with regard to a menstruating woman. Amar mar pirish miyad chay v'cheyomi Amar avun mishmedove no etzaser tzibona b'kalka chiyamos v'tove. The Gemara resumes this discussion of the Mishnah. The master said above the Mishnah, if he immediately withdrew from the woman after having been informed that she had experienced menstrual bleeding, he is liable to make a sin offering for engaging in intercourse with a menstruating woman. The Gemara asks, what should one do in such a situation? Funa said, in the name of Rava, he should press his 10 fingernails into the ground, meaning the bed, restrain himself and do nothing until his ween becomes flaccid. He should press his 10 fingernails to the ground and restrain himself and do nothing until his weenie becomes flaccid. And only then should he withdraw from her. And it is good for him to do so. Shevuos until it dies. Amar Rava zoyse meres hameshamish meis berayos pato. Ti esor kedaitach chayov achamay taima pato mishum da'anusu I anusu ki pirash miyad nami nifta anusu. Rava said, that is to say, one who engages in intercourse with a flaccid wiener with those with whom relations are forbidden is exempt. How does he derive that? Oh. As if it enters your mind to say that he is liable, here in the Mishnah, what is the reason that he is exempt if he waits and withdraws only later, after he has lost his erections? And you might say that it is because he is a victim of circumstances beyond his control, and that the woman experienced menstrual bleeding while he was in the middle of the act of intercourse, and not because he withdrew with a flaccid ween, as one engages in intercourse with a flaccid ween is liable. But if he is exempt from liability because he's a victim of circumstances beyond his control, then even if he withdraws immediately before losing his erectity, he should also be exempt for the same reason, that he is a victim of circumstances beyond his control. שהיה לו לפרוש בענה מועטס ופירש בענה מרובה. Abaye said to Rava, actually, I could say to you that one who engages in intercourse with a flaccid wean with those with whom relations are forbidden is liable. And here, what is the reason that one who waits and withdraws only later after he has lost his erection is exempt? It is because he is considered a victim of circumstances beyond his control. And concerning that which he said, why then is he liable if he withdrew immediately? Meaning, when you said he should also be exempt, it is because he should have withdrawn with a flaccid wean and experienced little pleasure, but instead he withdrew with an erect wean and experienced great pleasure. Dun dun dun! Amar le Rabbi Bar Hanan Abaye, im kein matzinu aruka k'tzarvenido. Rabbi Bar Hanan said to Abaye, if so, according to your opinion, we find a difference in halacha between a long way and a short way with regard to a menstruating woman. If he withdrew the short way without waiting, he has committed transgression, and if he withdrew the long way after waiting, he has not committed a transgression. And we continue now to page 18b, top of the page, with the words Va'anan b'mikdash kanan el shum de la dami. And we learned this difference in the Mishnah, specifically with regard to ritual impurity in the temple. If such a distinction were also in effect with regard to a menstruating woman, the Mishnah would mention it. Rather, one can explain no parallel distinction is made because the two cases are not similar in their details. The long way here with regard to a menstruating woman, namely, is that the man must wait, is like the shortest way there with regard to the impurity in the temple, namely, that the impure person must leave the temple by way of the most direct route. And the long way there with regard to the temple is like the shortest way here with regard to the menstruating woman. Maskif lo afuno, redirav noson, mi amar vayanasu alma bishilo. Samuch levista kamlinan, o Abaye no chayvstein, amasom levista skinan. Rav Huna, the son of Rav Natan, objects to what Abaye said. Did Abaye really say, with regard to the Mishnah, that if the man withdraws with a flaccid wean, he is exempted because he is considered a victim of circumstances beyond his control? Apparently, then, we are speaking of a man who engaged in intercourse with a woman not near the expected date of her menstruation, and therefore the situation is considered beyond his control. But it is not Abaye who says that he is liable to bring two sin offerings for this transgression, one for his initial entry and one for his withdrawal? Apparently, we are dealing with a man who engaged in intercourse with a woman near the expected date of her menstruation, so he is considered an unwitting transgressor who is liable to bring a sin offering and is not the victim of circumstances beyond his control. Consequently, Abaye's statements contradict each other. The Gemara answers with this statement of Abaye. Abaye was stated that the man is liable to bring two sin offerings. It was stated in general. It was not relating to the case in the Mishnah, but was an independent ruling concerning one who engages in intercourse with a woman near the expected date of menstruation. Abaye b'nei Rabbi Yonasan ben Yossi ben Lakonia. Wow, ben Lakonia. I don't remember that name before. Rabbi Yonasan ben Yossi ben Lakonia. Rabbi Shimon ben Yossi ben Lakonia. That's the first time I've heard that name. Rabbi Yonasan ben Yossi ben Lakonia from Rabbi Shimon ben Yossi ben Lakonia. They're brothers, huh? Maybe they weren't. Maybe they just shared a grandfather that had the same name. Two grandfathers that were both in Lakonia. I don't know. Azal boy nido. V'isheni b'niyas tumasar lo yitzikra. Rabbi Yonatan ben Yossi ben Laconia asked Rabbi Shimon ben Yossi ben Laconia, from where in the Torah is the prohibition concerning one who engaged in intercourse with a menstruating woman derived? Rabbi Shimon ben Yossi ben Laconia took a clod of earth and threw it at him in reproach and said to him, is there a need to search the Torah for a derivation for the prohibition concerning one who engaged in intercourse with a menstruating woman? The verse states, and a woman who is impure by her uncleanness, you shall not approach to uncover her nakedness. Okay, why do you have to throw something at him? I don't get that. You could have just told him. Leviticus 18:19. And Azalama the Mishamish im Toiro. Yavuz lo nitmesi de lo nifrosh mi'amnan amachinski amakro utin jasela filu b'shastina sotema. The Gemara explains the intent of the question of Yonatan ben Yossi ben Laconia. Rather, from where do we derive the prohibition with regard to the case in the Mishnah concerning one who was engaging in intercourse with a ritually pure woman, and she experienced menstrual bleeding and said to him, I have become impure, that he must not withdraw immediately? In response to this question, Chizkiah said, or Hezekiah in English, said, the verse states, and if any man lies with her, and her menstrual flow shall be upon him, Leviticus 15:24, teaching that even at any time when she is menstruating, prohibition shall be upon him. Therefore, he must not withdraw from her immediately. Ashkechana say lo isas minola, alav papa amakra, lo tikra, nami, lo tifroshu, tichtiv, oimrim kra velecha. Al tigash bi ki kidashticha. The Gemara asks, we found a source for a positive mitzvah with regard to the manner in which one must withdraw from a menstruating woman. From where do we derive that immediate withdrawal is also subject to a prohibition? Rav Papa said, the verse states, and a woman who is impure by her uncleanness you shall not approach to uncover her nakedness. Leviticus 18:19. The Gemara explains, you shall not approach. Tikra means also the opposite, you shall not withdraw. As is written, those who say, withdraw to yourself, come not near to me, for I am holier than you. Isaiah 65 verse 5. Where krav means remove or withdraw. Okay? Tanu Rabbanan v'izaltem es b'nei Yisrael mitumasam amar Rabbi Yehoshua mikan azor b'nei Yisrael shtivchashu m'nishasen samach levistan v'kama amar Rabba oina. Having mentioned that it is prohibited for a man to engage in intercourse with a woman near the expected date of her menstruation, the Gemara cites a Braita in which the sages taught the verse with regard to a menstruating woman states, and shall you separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness. Leviticus 15:31. Rabbi Yehoshua says, from here we derive a prohibition to the children of Israel that they must separate from their wives near the expected date of their menstruation. And how long before they must separate? Rava says, a set interval of time for the ritual purity of a menstruating woman, which is a half of a 24-hour day, either the daytime or the nighttime. I wonder why he didn't just say 12 hours. Amar Yochanan, Mishum Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, Shimon ben Yochai, Kol she'eino parish mi'isha samach levista, afilo havin lo banim, kibnei Aaron meitim. Dichtiv, Rabbi Yochanan says, in the name of Rishon ben Yochai, with regard to anyone who does not separate from his wife near the expected date of her menstruation, even if he has sons who are fit to be great and holy like the sons of Aaron, these sons will die due to his sin, as it is written, and you shall separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness. This is the law of her that is sick with her menstrual flow, Leviticus 15:31 through 33, and is stated near it after the death of the two sons of Aaron, Leviticus 16:1. So you see that Take, it's see where we're holding time-wise. Wow, 25 minutes. Okay, Amar Rav Chiya bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Dechol Parish Miyishto Yisrael Univasta, having no abundance of holy, Yichsiv lahavdil ben Tov v'Tov, Samach leish Yikizan Yinol Zacho, Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi Amar, having no banim Ruin Lahiro, Yichsiv lahavdil Ulahirois. Concerning this matter, Rabbi Chiya bar Abba says that Rabbi Yochanan says, anyone who separates himself from his wife near the expected date of menstruation will have male children, as it is written to distinguish between the impure and the pure, Leviticus 11:47, and it is stated near it, if a woman conceive and bear a male child, Leviticus 12:2. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi says, he will have sons who are worthy of teaching halacha, as it is written to distinguish between the impure and the pure, and to teach the children of Israel all statutes, Leviticus 10:11. Amar Rabbi Chiya bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Kol mavdil hayayim b'motzei Shabbos having loy b'ayim zecham nechsiv l'halav ben koyz ben achol u'chsiv asim l'havdil ben ton ben ton samach le'ish kitazriya. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi Amar banim ruin nahayra nechsiv l'havdil u'lehayachos. The Gemara continues to expound these verses. Rabbi Chiya bar Abba says, Rabbi Yochanan says, anyone who recites Havdalah over wine at the conclusion of Shabbat and not over some other beverage will have male children, as is written, to distinguish between the holy and the unholy, and between the pure and the impure and the pure, Leviticus 10:10, and it is written there once again to distinguish between the impure and the pure, Leviticus 11:47, and it is stated near it, if a woman conceive and bear a male child, Leviticus 12:2. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi says, anyone who recites Havdalah over wine at the conclusion of Shabbat will have sons who are worthy of teaching halacha, as it is written, to distinguish between the holy and the unholy, and to teach, Leviticus 10:11. Amar Rabbi Yamin ben bar Yefes. That's also an uncommon one. Amar Rabbi Yamin bar Yefes. Amar Rabbi Yamin bar Yefes. Amar Rabbi Lazar. Kol Amikadesh Asmon B'Shah Tashmish. Excuse me. Having loy banim zucham shalem l'gdash min yisem l'gdashim. Samach leish kitazriya. Rabbi Binyamin bar Yefet says that Rabbi Elazar says, anyone who sanctifies himself with modest conduct while engaging in sexual intercourse will have male children, as is stated, you shall sanctify yourselves and you shall be holy, Leviticus 11:44, and it is stated near it, if a woman conceive and bear a male child, Leviticus 12:2. Rabbi Eliezer, yeah, Omer, the Mishnah teaches, Rabbi Eliezer says, with regard to the sliding scale offering, the verse states, or if a person touches any impure thing, whether it is the carcass of a non-kosher undomesticated animal, or the carcass of a non-kosher domesticated animal, or the carcass of a non-kosher creepy animal, and it is hidden from him so that he is impure, Leviticus 5 verse 2. The juxtaposition of the words "and it is hidden" to the words "a creeping animal" teaches that one who is liable to bring a sliding scale offering when it is hidden from him that he had contracted ritual impurity from a creeping animal, but not when it was hidden from him that he was entering the temple or partaking of sacrificial food. Rabbi Akiva says that it is from the words "and it is hidden from him," so that he is impure, that it is derived that one is liable to bring a sliding scale offering for a lapse of awareness about his impurity, but not for a lapse of awareness about the temple or the sacrificial food. We're asked, since Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva agree about the halacha, what is the practical difference between them? Rabbi Eliezer ad sheyadai b'sheres itmai. Rabbi Akiva savar lo b'inan ad diada t'kiva diada d'itma ba'olam lo yitzarich I b'sheres itme I nevela itme. Rabbi Chizkiah says there is a practical difference between them in a case where one liability knew that he had contracted ritual impurity, but he did not know whether the impurity was contracted from a creeping animal or from the carcass of an unslaughtered animal. Rabbi Eliezer holds that for him to be liable to bring an offering, we require that he initially know whether he contracted impurity from a creeping animal or he contracted impurity from an unslaughtered animal carcass. And if he never knew this, he does not bring an offering. And Rabbi Akiva holds that for him to be liable to bring an offering, we do not require that he know this detail, since he knows in general in terms that he contracted impurity. It is not necessary that one know whether he contracted impurity from a creeping animal or he contracted impurity from an unslaughtered animal carcass. The Rabbi Eliezer ad Rabbi Eliezer umeshani mi amar Eliezer beinan ad diada ki sheret itmi or I nevela itami. And Ula also says there is a practical difference between them in the case where the person did not know whether he had contracted impurity from a creeping animal or from the carcass of an unslaughtered animal. Ula did not say this explicitly, but rather he raises a contradiction between this statement of Rabbi Eliezer and another statement of Rabbi Eliezer, and then he resolves it. He asks, does Rabbi Eliezer actually say that in order to be liable to bring a sliding scale offering, we require that one initially know whether he contracted impurity from a creeping animal or he contracted impurity from an unslaughtered animal carcass? V'raminu amar Rabbi Eliezer ma nafshach Chelev achal chayav, nosar achal chayav. Shabbos chilel chayav, Yom Kippurim chilel chayav. Yishanida baal chayav, achos baal chayav. And he raised a contradiction from the Braita with regard to one who ate a forbidden food but did not know whether it was forbidden fat or whether it was notar. Part of the sacrifice left over after the time allowed for its consumption, or one who performed labor but did not know whether it was Shabbat or Yom Kippur, or one who engaged in intercourse but did not know whether it was with his menstruating wife or with his sister. In all cases, Rabbi Eliezer holds that he must bring a sin offering, whereas Rabbi Yehoshua deems him exempt. Rabbi Eliezer says, whichever way you look at it, he is liable. If he ate forbidden fat, he is not liable. If he ate notar, he is liable. If he desecrated Shabbat, he is liable. If he desecrated Yom Kippur, he is liable. If he engaged in intercourse with his menstruating wife, he is liable. If he engaged in intercourse with his sister, he is liable. In all these cases, he knows that he transgressed, and he is liable to bring a sin offering. Rabbi Yehoshua said to Eliezer, the verse states with regard to sin offering or his sin in which he sinned became known to him, Leviticus 4:23, teaching that there is no liability for offering until it becomes known to the sinner the manner in which he sinned. And according to this writer, Eliezer himself holds that he, in order to become liable to bring a sin offering, it is not necessary that one know precisely which prohibition he violated. Rahman achet kol shihu, Rahman achet kol shihu, hacha mechti ketiv bechol davar tameh, v'nevel sharat tameh lavali. Shma mina beinan ad diada ibasheret itami benevela atami. And Ul resolves the contradiction there with regard to liability to being a sin offering. The merciful one states, or his sin in which he sinned became known to him, he shall bring his offering. Leviticus 4:23, teaching that it suffices that he knows that he committed some type of sin. Here, with regard to ritual impurity in the temple, since it is written at the beginning of the verse, or if a person touches any impure thing, Leviticus 5:2, why do I need that which is stated immediately afterward, or the carcass of a non-kosher creeping animal that would require that he initially know whether he contracted ritual impurity from a creeping animal or he contracted impurity from an unslaughtered animal carcass. And if he never knew this, he does not bring an offering. Rabbi Kiva, and the Gemara asks Rabbi Kiva, who does not expound the verses in this way, what does he say to this? The Gemara answers, he maintains that. And then to be continued for tomorrow's Daf.